Hi, I'm Kaylee, and I'll be talking about the costume design for our version of Thias. So, starting with Paphnutius, I envision this podcast having New Age priests to dress pretty casually with his priestly attire. On the left, we've got Ryan Reynolds, sort of in nerd mode, and I think that's how he appears on his podcast. Just replace the tie with the white collar. In the middle, we've got the priest from Fleabag, who I'm fairly sure is only referred to as the priest. And on the right is a young priest from the movie High Spirits called Father Tony. I think these two would serve as good inspiration for Paphnutius' costuming, both dressed fairly casually considering they're priests, especially the priest from Fleabag. So the context for the first priest I'm using as inspiration is that he comes from the movie High Spirits. It's from 1988, and I don't know how deep of a cut it is, but I love this movie. When I decided to talk about the costume design for our version of Thias, my mind almost immediately went to Father Tony, partially because I think he's cute, but also because of his outfits. Father Tony is much more conservative with his casual wear, which is definitely how I see Paphnutius starting out. He wears comfortable layers, and we hardly ever see him without his priest collar on. For the next priest, as I mentioned earlier, he's from Fleabag, which is a show on Amazon Prime. You don't need to know much outside of the fact that the priest is hot.
I want to fuck a priest.
Catholic?
Yes.
A good one?
Yes.
Looks good in the...
Yes.
I understand. Do you really want to fuck the priest, or do you want to fuck God?
Can you fuck God?
Oh, yes.
Just please tell me how to not fuck a priest before I get arrested.
And when he's not doing priest stuff, he sort of just dresses like a normal guy. I don't think Paphnutius would get as casual with his attire as this priest does at first, but I think throughout the movie we'll see him start to become looser with his attire as his character develops. I view the Fleabag priest as his sort of transitional phase. Next up is Thias. Because she's played by Jennifer Coolidge, it's almost self-explanatory how she'll dress. But I see her starting out as this very glamorous, pink sparkles everywhere kind of girl. She probably spends ungodly amounts of money on getting everything she owns covered in those Swarovski crystals. Everything she owns is either extremely trendy or a luxury. Everything is either pink or white. She doesn't do neutrals. Just a very over-the-top Barbie girl, essentially. We've seen Jennifer Coolidge in these types of outfits plenty of times before, but I think Sophie from Two Broke Girls and her role as the stepmom in Cinderella Story are going to be the main inspirations for what her outfits would look like in this adaptation. Next, we've got Paphnutius' disguise for when he talks to Thias. He's got to convince this super snobbish influencer to listen to him, so he goes all in on the sex appeal. White shirt, blue jeans, and, it's Ryan Reynolds, so he sort of has that dual effect of being kind of a dork, but then he's secretly hot in a lot of the movies he does. I think him showing up looking like this sort of helps convince Thias to give him the time of day. I also see this as foreshadowing his transition from strict priesthood into being a little more comfortable with himself. Which brings us to the after. As I write this script, our final version of the plot isn't complete, so if I say something contradictory to what was previously stated, that's why. But my personal headcanon is that by the end of the movie, they both sort of meet in the middle and end up in this very modest cottagecore lifestyle. Thias ends up becoming sort of like a cottagecore trad wife, and Paphnutius ends up sort of embracing his sluttier side. Not too much, because they're still pretty religious, but I think he ends up leaving the priesthood so that they can get married and live this kind of minimalist lifestyle where he only buttons his shirts up halfway. And Thias doesn't completely give up on her love for pink and girly things, but she definitely dials it back a lot to live a bit more modestly and give up the very consumerist lifestyle she led before. And that's pretty much it for costuming. I hope the transitions in their attire will help illustrate how their characters would change throughout the story in our adaptation. thank you for watching.